Peace, peace, family. Peace, peace, Moors. And all true light seekers. Let me straighten up my turban. Let me straighten up the turban. But I want to say love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, health, and wealth. And we had an awesome day at training today. I got 10 new students, man. And we do circuit training 3 or 4 days a week, man. Because your mind, body, and spirit are supposed to agree as one. I also do healthy eating and living. Happy Islam Empress, happy rising. But like I said, I also do personal training. And I'm also an author, Morris. I've written 10 books. And if you want my books, you can go on my page. I don't have what they call a web page because I don't need that. I sell my books on my own platform. And if you're interested, you know my hookup, you can get directly in contact with me. So when people be asking about the books that I have, I've authored 10 books, but I don't have a web page. I've authored 10 books. You can go on my page. And let's see, do I have some more? But we wrote in a vegan cookbook. We wrote in a vegan treat book. The essence of chemical element of Moorish archival. We wrote a coloring book for our children. What's Sufism all about? What the triple rose adapt chamber all about? Scholars who debunk Eurocentric propaganda and Asiatic scientists in history. I mean, and like I said, when I go do teachings, I just taught at one of the elementaries, and all the parents came and they donated to get all my books. I also do lectures on starting your own business with youth. So when they graduate out of high school, they have their own standing entity. They understand about Quick 30. They understand about having their own standing business. They understand about nonprofit status. Don't let nobody give you a title of a law or something and tell you, oh, 501c3 is this and that. And they don't even know the whole understanding of that, of what 501c3, the dynamics of it, and why other nationalities have nonprofits in their neighborhoods, and why all these other companies are doing it, but you're not doing it in your community. That's why things are being extracted from our community, because we don't know we are business. We don't understand business. We argue on religion, and we don't understand that we are scientists and a business where we can show our children about commerce. How I do. I say, man, if a person telling you the one part about 501c3, they should be telling you the other part. And they're not, because they don't understand it. And that's a whole nother lecture, man. So I don't want to get off topic. But a brother was asking me, and the Empress was asking me, as we're dialoguing, because I dialogue a lot with people. I don't get into debates because, hey, if whatever you want to believe in, that's on you. But the essence of all religions, you have to know what it's all about. If you call yourself an adapt or a teacher, and you have to understand about all the saviors before so-called Jesus Christ, before all that. If you're a student, if you're not a student, then I'm not talking to you. We get caught up in emotion and feelings. But one of the topics was Zoroastrianism, Zoroastrianism. And the person was, stating from a personal aspect was like, oh, Norbert Drew Ali and this, he was on some Zoroastrianism bull crap. And the first thing I asked the brother or the sister, have you studied Zoroastrianism? And if you understand the essence of that, if you don't, then there's no way you can speak on that. There's no way a person should be able to speak on something with sureness and volatility if you never studied it. When I say we are brother from the East, when I say no wisdom comes from anywhere else, when I talk about all the secret writings, most Moors are not willing to study when I talk about the Avistas, the Zen Avista. And when we talk about yoga, and that comes from Paranama, Pranayama, the idea known as dumb, spiritual breath. Everyone has a preset number of breaths. But Zoroastrianism, this is old, man. This is nothing new. And if you a student, if you study the lessons and get out all the hate and all the anger, you know that Noble Drew Ali was a student. You know that he was a student. Why do people trying to act like something else? This man told you he was a student. This man told you he gathered and compiled. Professor Drew, I don't want to turn all my computers around. It's newspaper clippings. Research the newspaper clipping of Professor Drew, the Egyptian adapt student. I am a Muslim. Professor Drew is a man who was born with divine power. He was taught the adapts of Egypt. I have the secret of destroying the germs of, it's kind of whatever, and cancer of the lungs in 10 to 30 days. Your lungs can what it say? Your lungs can, in a very strict examination, that the germs are entirely destroyed. Also, destroy the germs of eating cancer, gout, lumbago, heart trouble, female diseases, and serious affections of the body. I mean, this is all for public viewing. When a person trying to say, "Oh, Noble Drew Ali was this and that," I say, man, that person didn't study. That person is arguing. Noble Drew Ali tell you he didn't. Everything say he gathered and compiled. If you know what gathered and compiled mean, that man studied. He studied. He studied all over, just like you should study. But when we get into dissing and saying what something is and what's not, I know a person ain't studied. I know a person ain't studied all the essence of Zoroastrianism and what that's all about. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, people adapt to, if you are Moor, doesn't it tell you that we don't adapt to one so-called religious creed because you'll miss the essence of all the rest? Moors don't read the Circle 7 Quran. That book talks about the 18 mission years of Yahshua's life. The Silent Brotherhood of the East speaks clearly of that, and the adapt chambers that the Messiah went through. I mean, research Abdul Hamid of Egypt, guest of Harlem Masons. Is there for your research. You don't have to listen to me. There was a notable gathering of prominent Masons in the upper room at Craig's well-known hostelry, 102 West 130th Street on Friday night. Last to meet Dr. Muhammad of Khartoum, Egypt, a 96-degree Mason. He was 96. A lot of them don't tell you is more degrees than that, but then he said a 96-degree Mason. I thought it was only 32 and 33 degrees when Moors be talking. Here it is, a Moor. He's saying, and a Master Mason, a 96-degree Mason, and a Shriner at a dinner tendered by Brother Harry Knight, himself a Shriner. Among others in the party were Worshipful Grand Master David W. Parker, Grand Worthy Secretary Arthur A. Arkamby, Deuce Muhammad Ali. We always talk about, do you know who Deuce Muhammad Ali was? When we talk about stuff, let me see if I got my Secret of the Feds book. Deuce Muhammad Ali is in there. When I say you got to connect the dots and stop letting the person get you caught up in spookism because they don't study. Let me see. Deuce Muhammad right here. This is Deuce Muhammad. That's Deuce Muhammad, man. So when we talking stuff and we dissing true masonry and true craft, you don't know your history and your lineage. But you see others with the feds on their way to clandestine, and you don't understand how they're working. But I'm telling you, it's right here. Just like in other gatherings. Hold on, let me show you documents. But we don't have to just think about something. We got to know something. Let me see. Just like in all the documents, you got to do the math. Just like here, when we diss stuff, when we say everything can be used for bad, but you got to know the essence of where things came from. Let me reiterate for you. Master Farad Muhammad, the alias Ford, David Ford, picture in the upper left-hand corner. There are many Masons shown in the picture. The development of the MSTA, I repeat, the development of the MSTA saw the influence of many high-degree Black Shriners, Masons, and secret societies, particularly the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of nobles of the Mystic Shrine, started by Noble Ali Rofelt Pasha and John George Jones in 1893. This before you and me. This before all of us. But you're gonna sit up here and diss. But you don't do that to other Masons, European groups, and brothers that don't really know science because it's 32 and 33 degrees. And then the only time they're able to put the fez on is when they become a Shriner. But that's for others because it's not a birthright. It's religion or political. You got to know this. We wear our fez and our turban with pride. These secret societies, the Mystic Shrine, oh, I gave you that. These secret societies played a major role in the events during the late 20s and 30s and governmental changes in America that have great importance to the events happening presently in respect to the subject of reparations and the New World Order. But you letting somebody connotate you of what the New World Order is. Spookism. All spookism. They telling you what Illuminati is, and they're not even one of the enlightened ones. Illuminati just mean enlightened. Sacred mean dear to us. You got to know this. A person using your science over your head and repackage it to you as spookism, but they're using it. I'm telling you, man. You don't got to listen to me. All Muslims should have this literature. It was passed out in the temples. Elijah Muhammad, he was a babe. If you don't believe me, hey, it's all good. Research. They also passed our 25,000 identification cards. So Master Farad did. The Muslim, they have this. It's there. Muslims, and all Nation of Islam Muslims have this literature. It's too much information for us to be going confused and lying to the brothers and sisters, and we're not willing to do the work. Get all that hate and all that false teaching out of us. Get that crap out of you. Get that crap out of you, Moors. So we're gonna clear up some topics. Because like I said, I saw a sister and a brother, they was talking about Noble Drew Ali in the Quran and talking about Zoroastrianism. And I say, you definitely don't know what Zoroastrianism is. Peace, more. Because Noble Drew Ali told you he was a student. I give you you can research Noble Drew Ali, the ADAPT student. It's paperwork. I can read it all to you. It's there. But Dr. Hamad of Egypt, guest of Harlem Masons, a 96-degree Mason and a Shriner at a dinner tendered by Brother Harry Knight himself, a Shriner, amongst other Asiatic Moors. This party were Worshipful Grand Master David W. Parker, Grand Worthy Secretary Arthur A. Ashmum, Deuce Muhammad. Who is Deuce Muhammad? I'm reading it. Here go Deuce Muhammad right here. These people who was at this meeting when we just talk stuff and we don't live it. Deuce Muhammad Ali, Effendi, a countryman of the Guest of Honor, John Edwards Bruce, contributing editor of the Negro World and editor of the Masonic Quarterly Review, and Dr. Abdul Hamid's private secretary, Brother Clarence Kane. Come on, man, y'all got to know this. Important matters touching the good and the welfare of the order were discussed in a general. A lot of this stuff is old, so I can't read it. In a general whatever, and much information concerning its primacy as a fraternal organization among the blacks of Africa was elected from Dr. Hamid, who is a walking encyclopedia on all the Masonic things. That's why I say I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but when I go to these different lodges, it's elders there and they allow me to teach. I'm talking about men that's 60, 70, some 80 years old, and I teach in these temples. To Masons, Moors, when I go to California, I teach at the at one of our ancient rites. You know, it's just what it is, man. It's just what it is. So we got to get out all that hate. If you're not studying, I teach and study at the Philosophical Society. I do lectures there. All different Masons, brothers from all different countries, and all my books fly off the shelf. That's why I say I don't need a web page, because I'm not here to promote nothing. I promote the stuff that people that want it and want the science from an unbiased place. Most Moors want something to feel good, just like any other religious person, and I don't deal with that. But Deuce Muhammad, you know, the dinner was a dream in variety, excellent in service, and reflected highly on the skill of Brother Craig as a culinary artist. So when we're talking about stuff and saying, oh, Noble Drew Ali didn't do this and do that, I say that's a lie. Noble Drew Ali was a student. Noble Drew Ali was a student. Research Professor Drew, the Egyptian ADAPT student. It's in the paperwork. It was in the papers. Research it. You don't have to listen to nothing to me. But we get in our feelings and we try to say, this person didn't do this person do that, because we want to be lazy. And we want to try to convert somebody on dogma. Because you might be talking with a silver tongue or eloquently. Where I can talk with a silver tongue and eloquently too. And I have degrees too. If you're not going to challenge the pen, yes, if the pen doesn't match the archaeology, you must change the pen. I can show you all through history, ancient history, how the pen was changed. From the Hadith, when Muhammad in historical facts, when it said that he was black or brown and short, how they changed the pen to tall and white. You don't got to believe me. You just got to study. It's in the paper. I am a Muslim. Professor Drew is a man who was born of divine powers. On and on and on and on. I mean, certain stuff doesn't make sense. So we're going to touch on the Zoroastrianism, the Zoroastrianism, and we're going to touch on some things for I can give you clarity. I mean, when we gravitate to something and we diss the rest, that's not wisdom. That's dogma. Moors respect and obey all the laws and the prophets. Moors respect all the laws and the prophet. When I tell you more, when I show you books and research, I don't show you books and research just to be blowing smoke up your butt. I've read and researched and did too much peer review of scholarly research to believe anything that I've read without researching the source, without researching the time period, which is the dispensation, and without researching the linguistics or the etymon. If you're not willing to do that, you'll believe everything that's written. You'll believe everything that's written. And I tell you, I've done too much study and too much peer-reviewed scholarly research, museums and temples and archaeology, Carmen Dayton, to believe anything that somebody written without checking the pen, without checking the source, without checking the volatility of the language, the time period, the dispensation, the etymon or the etymology of the words. I don't get caught up in linguistic apartheid. The truth has no size. I know I'm a Moor, and that's all that it is. So when Moors gravitate to one thing and one teaching, that's like dissing the Kibra Nagas. That's like dissing Haile Selassie's teachings. That's like dissing the teachings of Marcus Garvey. That's like dissing all the secret teaching of the East, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upshots. That's what you're doing, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Don't you know this what all this writing is about? This is what you're supposed to be studying everything. If you are Moor, and if you read the Circle 7 Quran, and it talks about the 18 years, missing years of Jesus, which is Yahshua's life, well, you think he wouldn't tarry? I keep telling you, all man-made religions is based off the same thing. Brothers dissing Christianity, and I said, okay, well, Christianity and so-called Al-Islam is off the same things. Who the prophet? Who your prophet? But we tripping, man. So get with science. So I'm going to talk about another person in history when I said it was a plethora of so-called prophets and people that was teaching wisdom. You must be willing to be a student and study them and take the best from everything. For instance, Sufi Abdul Hamad. Do you know who he was? Research it. The Black Hitler of Harlem. The Black Hitler was a Chicago community organizer who moved to New York. Somewhere along the line, the way he picked up a gold linen cape, a purple turban, if you do the research, a purple turban and a stepladder, which he used to give speeches outside the Jewish stores owned by Harlem's dwindling Jewish community. When I tell you about the Fez, y'all letting, man, most people don't know what old time religion is. They just want to diss something. And I say, the only reason why you dissing it, because you getting somebody's interpretation. That Bible, I don't care which one you get, is only the true historical fact proving that the Asiatic man is the father of history. Black man, whatever. Because you got to link to the context. I'm saying black is beautiful, but it's not a nationality. I'm going to read to you. Rabbi Ford in a turban. Turbans were commonly used in black spiritual churches. Turbans were commonly used in black spiritual churches and signify the mystical East. When used by black religious magical workers. I don't think Moors know what adapt is. When you adapt, you have to be whatever it is for the people to save them mentally, spiritually, and religiously. We go all over and teach. That's why I'm welcome all over, man. In churches, in mosques, in lodges, I teach from no biased perspective. To where if you don't want to accept the truth and the research, that's on you. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with that. A person not accepting what you can prove. If you don't want to accept that, that means you ain't number 360. I don't care if you're a Moor or whoever, operating on your own understanding. When you see the truth and know the truth, but still go with your own. That's a fool and that's stupid. Research it. Research what stupid means and what a fool means. I'm giving you an example. Let me show you other pictures. So we can get things, we got to get things correct, man, and stop lying to the people. And just like when I talk about certain things, when brothers like to use certain definitions, like somebody doing something to them, and I say more. One thing we got to understand when we're studying. I can't even find my papers. I got so much going on, man. Let me see. I'll find it, but we're talking about we're talking about fraudulent concealment. Yesterday, we talked about fraudulent concealment in law. Your own brother can fraudulent conceal. What? Information that if you would have known that, you wouldn't even be said or went the way you went. But a person is holding information from you to keep you little. I don't do that. The cape and the turban were sometimes combined with Nazi-style military. And don't y'all know, when I put out a lot of other my books, when you see all the so-called black men in Hitler's army, it's a plethora of them. I got all the books. It's simple research. You don't gotta listen to nobody, let nobody connotate you with nothing. It's there for your research. It's plenty books. There's plenty of books on so-called Hitler's army. You can get them off Amazon. If you don't know the names, I'll pull them up to you later. I mean, research what they say. Look for a minute when somebody just connotating stuff to you, and they're not going to explain it. I'm going to explain everything to you. Hold on. Let me grab something real fast. Hold up. I think my Empress might have put it up. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Right here. Sorry about that. I got it right here. When we diss things and we don't know, when the person say, oh, that's Jewish or this, that, and the other, I said, man, you don't have any idea of what this all about. Jewish don't mean nothing. If you speak Jewish, or if your mother practiced Judaism, she can be considered a Jew. Arabic is not a nationality genetically. You speak Arabic, you're an Arab. Same thing. I mean, it's here, but you're getting connotated. The Moorish Zionist temple of the Moorish Jews. Jews are reading Eber and Eber. Research the Igbo people genetically. You see that? Look what Wentworth Matthews have on. I'm just wearing mine a little bit different, but I can open it all up, just like one of our prophets, just like Wentworth Matthews. So we got to demonstrate and get people in the right thing and stop hating and dissing things, man. We tripping. Look. You don't gotta believe nothing I say. Brothers got their turbans on, brothers got their fez on, their different headdresses. What it say? The Moorish Zionist temple of the Moorish Jews. This is in 1929. Look at the flag in the back, the American flag, and also the so-called 6-point star flag of Jerusalem before it was considered a state in 1948. Come on, man. So when you start dissing something, I know what brother haven't studied or sister haven't studied when they dissing. When they dissing, I don't care what religion if you know who you are and you know what every sign and symbol mean, you rock with me. I see people dissing the cross and I say, you definitely don't know what that cross means if you don't understand esoteric and exoteric, because that just means sustainability, fire, earth, air, river. If you don't know that, I'm sorry. You know? So when a person just dissing something, I hope you know the essence and I hope you know the history of certain things and certain symbols. All signs and symbols come from the East. No sign and symbol come from no person in modern history. I can show you all that in the hieroglyphics for my so-called Egyptologists that talk about they understand how to read to net to netter. I bear to differ, because if you did, we wouldn't be arguing, we wouldn't be debating nothing. Because right in the Egyptian hieroglyphs from the signs and symbols, it's YHWH. Period. YHWH, right on Egyptian hieroglyph. Egypt had 2 Hebrew pharaohs, or from that region. If you don't believe me, I can care less. Sabatos and Sabatos. Man, it's certain things that you should know, man. Signs and symbols of the primordial man. I can go on and on. Like I said, I come from scholarship, man. I don't come from no hate or from no lower energy. But research Sufi Abdul Hamad and the stuff he did. It was so many. I mean, research Haile Selassie. Research Haile Selassie. Research the Kibra Nagas. Research the Kibra Nagas. Research the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Research all these writings from the East. Where you think your mantras come from and all that. That's why I be laughing at some Moors when they say they this and they that. I like, man, you can't be that. If you're going around dissing something, one of the books I wrote, Moorish America's Light of Ali, and the Moorish Adapt Study Guide, The House of Ali, Mysticism, the Egyptian Adapt Prophet and Angel. What you think that's all about? About our mantras and about our rituals and all that. But you let somebody, man, come on, man. This man Noble Drew Ali studied, man. This man studied all over the world the same way I'm doing. Bridging that gap. Bridging that gap. And I tell Moors, they asking what we should. I got the literature. I wrote books. If you have any inclination and you don't have it, you can research it and study it and see if it's valid. I also wrote The Sufism and the Triple Role of the Adapt Chamber, featuring the Commanded and Adapt Manual and the use of our carpenter tools. If you got any inclination of something wrong, I'm giving you the research for you can research it yourself. But we not doing that. We just arguing. That's sad, man. That's sad when Moors do that. I can go on and on. I also wrote The Essence of Chemical Element of Moorish Archival. I didn't want to pull all my books out, so I just printed the the page, the front page of all the books. Also, Moors, I also written our Divine Creed of Moorish Islam and what our Divine Creed of Moorish Islam really consists of. We should know that. And if Moors want the books, the donate is only $33. It's tax exempt. It comes with a tax exempt receipt and a tracking number. But if you don't want to pay the $33, I have everything on PDF. So you can know for sure and study. We don't operate on our own understanding, man. We don't do that. I mean, no science came from the East. So let's talk about this Zoroastrianism. When a person is dissing something and I'm like, man, you definitely missing the teachings of what the prophet said in that Circle 7 Quran. Let me go back. The genealogy of Jesus with 18 years, which is Yahshua, events, life, and works and teachings. Where? In India, Europe, and Africa. That's all over, man. And then you're going to diss something because you don't even know where it's from. He just told you about these lessons. He told you about these teachers all over. When he traveled the East, all over the Mediterranean. Come on, man. We tripping, man. We tripping, bro. So let's get into this subject at hand. Let's get into this subject at hand, Morris, about Zoroastrianism. And when brothers say they study yoga, and I say, yeah, but do you know where yoga come from? That word yoga, it come from Zoroastrianism. Pranayama, Pranayama. It's more of a breath control. And if you adapt, if you adapt, more say they adapts, and they talk about they some chic. How you say you an adapt, and you don't teach people about the mantras, and you don't teach people about the mantras and breathing. That's what yoga is. It's the idea known as DUM, D-U-M, which means spiritual breathing, which will go on that everyone has a preset number of breaths. I mean, I can go on and on when somebody dissing something because that's how I know they ain't studied. That's how I know they ain't studied, man. You gravitating to one thing. If a Moor read our adapt manual, and like when Moors be calling themselves adapts, here go my adapt manual. But I can also show you if a person call himself an adapt in the Moor Science Temple. Let me see, do I got our adapt book? Let me see if I can find it for you, Moors. When a person don't, matter of fact, I got it up in my other teaching. Hold on. I think I got it up here. Right here. This is what more should have if you say you some adapt and some grand chic and whatever. It's right here. This is our teachings. But most don't have it because they're not students. They just argue and want to take a little bit and run with it. And this is my teachings from my gathered and compiled to make clarity. Because some of the stuff is not clear. And that's for a particular reason. Moorish America's Light of Ali and the Moorish Adapt Study Guide. The House of Ali, Mysticism. The Egyptian Adapt Prophet and Angel. I mean, it's there. So if a Moor thinks I'm saying something wrong, you say you some adapt and some chic and you don't have our teachings. Come on, man. This our teachings, man. Right here. Got the mantras, everything in it. Everything you're supposed to do, how you pray, everything. How you conjure up things, everything, man. So, whatever, man. That's how you know a person not operating on their own righteousness in 720 because they don't have the research. They want to diss things. So let's talk about Zoroastrianism real quick. And I'm done. But major religions, more like Christianity and Islam, have been popular since ancient times. And in ancient times, you got to know what true Christianity was per se and what Islam was when they were Sufis. And it wasn't a Christian because in the biblical scripture, Acts 24:5, this pestilent brother is a ringleader of the Nazarenes. This pestilent brother is a ringleader of the Nazarenes. You got to understand what language and everything is. Everything can be taken out of context. And if you don't know that, you just operating on hate. All of this, all the biblical scriptures is somewhat. That's not true. And then brothers gravitate to the Quran, the Arab Quran. Okay, so then what? You still praying to someone that's outside yourself, and the prophet come in the voice of the people. But that's a whole nother subject, man. So I'm gonna get to Zoroastrianism, the definition, some of the beliefs, and some of the history, and I want you to study for yourself. In ancient times, the modern country of Iran was known as Persia. And if you get an ancient map, not this MacArthur map that's proved BS, Iran was known as Persia. Man, Morris, I'm going to touch so many avenues. That's why when I show you things, I hope you get an 1828 Webster's Dictionary. We're going to touch on that part. We're going to touch on that part, but let me finish this. The Persian Empire stretched over much land from the Aegean Sea to the Aral Sea. Remember I told you about that in the 1828 Webster Dictionary about Hellenistic and who traveled that way and how Alexander the Greek, he forceful a European pharaoh, Serapis Christos, the same way he did with the Persian Empire. You got to know who these ancient Persian was, man. You thinking it's somebody different. The Persian Empire stretched over much of what's the Aegean Sea to the Aral Sea, and to the south past Jerusalem. What? And to the south past Jerusalem. That's why when you get real maps, the reason why they want to give you Jerusalem or give you Egypt, because they was right there, to and fro. That's how some of the people, when the famine went, they walked to Egypt. That's walking distance. But who am I? But although Islam is currently, a lot of people like to say, the Al-Islam is the most prominent religion of its reign, its predecessor, Zoroastrianism, became the foundation of the organization of major religions, including Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And if we go back to our science, what do you think the triple roll of the adapt chamber is all about? What's those 3 rights in the triple roll of the adapt chamber? I ain't gonna keep giving them to you, but you're supposed to know this. What's the 3 rights in the triple rolls of the adapt chamber? Ask a so-called master teacher or a so-called sheik. Ask them what's the triple roll of the adapt chamber. What's those 3 religious rights? And do we supposed to understand the essence of all 3? Ask them. Who was Zoroaster? Zarathustra or Zarathustra. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Better known as Zoroaster. The Greek version of his name was a prophet from Persia. He believed that he had visions of a god whom he called Ahura Mazda. Ahuramazda. Come on, Moors. Ahura Mazda, according to the prophet, was the creator of all good things. He was the creator of all good things, Moors. Right? Come on. We got to know this. He was the true God who should be worshipped. I go back to all our literature. What are Moors? Let me read it again. This is your nationality and identification card of the Moorish Science Temple of America and birthrights for the Moorish Americas, etc. We honor, I repeat, we honor all the divine prophets, Jesus, which is Yeshua, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. So what he doing, he's telling you like, man, you got to study and honor all the prophets because all organized religion come off the same thing. And depending on your region, your geographical area, your Messiah come in a voice for your people. That's how you get confused when a person talk about religion in biblical times. I say, man, you getting the story wrong. When I show you how certain so-called people try to confuse you, and when they talk about Asia, they don't tell you that's Africa. And when certain preachers, no matter what color they are, they tell you they going over there to convert some heathens of pagan. But we believe in all the prophets. We pray to many gods, the male and female. We got to know this, man. I can show you in the biblical scriptures how it all was manipulated. All of the statues and everything, the figures, they changed them all. When they were praying to the mother with all, matter of fact, I'll show you. I ain't got to talk about it. Let me see if I can find it real quick because I thought I had it highlighted in here. And I want you to research it, and it shows you how they change the color, everything. And it shows you how they manipulate the whole story. But people don't study. They run off in anger. And I say, man, that's not true. And if you teach it with facts and love, a person don't have to accept it, but they can research it and everything is valid. Let me see if I got it in here. I got to find it. I had it highlighted somewhere. Let me see. Be patient with me because this school. That's why I tell more. Everything lines up. You must be willing to do the research. Everything lines up. Dang, where'd it go? I might not have time to find it. I'll probably find it later for you. Now follow me. Follow me. Look what I'm going to show you first, and I'm going to read it. And I want you to research the history. I want you to research the history. I'm going to read a little bit to you. Because this school, you see that picture, right? I'm explaining who that picture is. You can research it. It's going to show you how the picture changed, everything. I'm going to read a biblical story to you. Ephesus was the main city of the Roman province of Asia. What? Ephesus was the main city of Roman province of Asia. In the New Testament times, it was an important part of trading center. But you got to know how the interpretation in the New Testament about Novus Testamentum and who wrote the Novus Testamentum. Because of its strategic location and easy access both by sea and road. So there you go. If you read the pen, these so-called whoever, European, whatever you want to call it, the misinterpretation of the biblical scriptures, they wanted to go to this certain region in Africa because it was located easy access by sea and road. Now here go the story. Paul chose it as a center from which to keep in touch with the congregations. Had he already founded and as a base for the new operation. What new operation? And these people already here had a God, understand who they are, as well as the temple of Artemis, Diana, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The ancient world. The city had marble paved streets and enjoyed fine baths and libraries, a marketplace and a theater. Who we talking about? We talking about the continent of Africa, a Kebalon, a maximum. We had all this. According to Acts, listen to this. Paul enjoyed hospitality with the so-called Jewish community in Ephesus, but they're not telling you the truth. Those were the Hebrews. They used things to twist you. In Ephesus for several months. Eventually, he was forced to find other accommodations. You got to know why. This is the Western explanation. So this is the statue of Artemis, an earth goddess linked with wild nature, was made in the 2nd century AD and was discovered at Ephesus. Come on, man. The protuberance of the statue may represent many breasts or perhaps the ova of the sacred bee. I hope y'all know this science. The temple of the Artemis was a vast structure, 4 times the size of the Parthenon in Athens. It had 127 columns, each 60 feet, 18 millimeters high, adorned by the most gifted sculptors of the day. The temple housed an up-shaped icon of the goddess. It was believed to be of divine creation since it had allegedly fallen from the sky. Ain't nothing falling from no sky. We know who made it, our people. The court, they call it a court. Everything is a court if you believe in something. You see how people will say some words? Research what a court is. Nothing spooky. Had a long history at Ephesus, dating back to pre-Ionon, ION worship of the Antilonean mother goddess. In mainland Greece, Artemis, mistress of the animals, appeared as a virgin huntress. Here go the picture. Look how Dr. Face is. Look how Dr. Face is. The same way who the Pope prayed to fake. Come on, man. So we don't get into spookism, man. Research that. Research that. Right? All right. Now I'm finna finish reading about what Zoroastrianism is. And I'm gonna give you a little bit and tell me what this sound like. It's too simple. Ura Mazda, according to the prophet, was the creator of all things good. Was the creator of all things, what's the creator of all things good? Okay, I gave you that. He was the true God who should be worshipped. The worship of one God is called monotheism. Right? Right? Exactly, more. Exactly, Brother Bonds. When I tell people, you got to do the etymology and the etymon and break those compound words down. They don't know it. They strip you from your culture. But we don't know. We getting spooky. It's a court. Oh, all this, not, don't know. And we got to study, man. But the worship of one God is called monotheism, right? But in more science, do we believe in just one God? We say we study and obey all the laws and the prophets to get the essence of everything. But the worship of one God is called monotheism. Zoroaster's monotheistic tendencies were of a new movement from the polytheistic religion, previously known in Persia, because this is their culture. When I say one nationality, many cultures, more when I talk about the Hebrews and the true Indians, when I talk about palindrome words, when I talk about Haya, when I talk about in more science, we talk about the Hebrew God. But hey man, our diet is the Hebrew diet based off the Bible. Come on, man. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Zoroastrianism is called dualistic. Zoroastrianism is called dualistic. What in more science we talk about duality. Words have duality. People have duality. What's above is below. You got to understand the science. Meaning it's focused on a twofold nature of the world, the good and bad, or heaven and hell. That's within you and me. Zoroaster believed that the universe was constantly under the conflict between good and evil. We believe that too. Exactly, more. You see how they get you twisted when you read biblical writings and they talk about paganism and all that. I say, man, there's nothing wrong with that. You believe in your mother. Yes, I believe in my mother. I believe in you believe in things that unseen. That's paganism. Ain't nothing wrong with it. That ain't no devil worship. Exactly, more. Exactly. Zoroaster, and I'm using research, was from the 6th century BCE, after which his teachings were followed by the majority of Persian Empire. Come on, man. Its popularity died out after 637 CE when Persia was invaded by, they say, some Muslims and Alexander the Greek. I'm going to show you how Alexander the Greek traveled eastward. Zoroastrian belief. You can learn a little bit more. I can give you a little bit more about the visions, how he went to heaven and spoke to Zoroaster. Same way all the other religions do. If Yahshua went and taught all around the earth, how can anything be different? Zoroaster explained that he had a rival named Agra Mainyu, Mainyu, who was an evil being, lower self. That's a good example of that religion, that dualistic belief pattern. Zoroaster was told to encourage humanity to choose between good and evil, same way we do, between Zoroaster and Agra Mainyu, your higher and your lower. Although Zoroastrianism isn't completely monotheistic because it recognized more than one God. It recognized more than one God. Same in more science. Same in the biblical scriptures. Same in any other scriptures from the East. But most Moors haven't read the secrets, all the teachings of the East. Although Zoroastrianism is a completely monotheistic, like I said, it recognized more than one God. It does attempt to consolidate the worship of people under one most powerful God. Now, we go back to the Circle 7 Quran. What does it says? That the Hebrew God is the what? Deity or the Messiah of Allah. Right? I mean, come on, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's in your Circle 7 Quran. It's in your Silent Brotherhood of the East. You let somebody tell you Allah got something to do outside of yourself, and it don't. Not in more science. Not in more science. Chapter 11, verse 43. The Hebrew prophet is the rising star of wisdom defied. He brings to us a knowledge of the secret things of Allah, which is you and me and man, creation, and all the world will hear his words and glorify his name. You priests of the temple of Kapvistu, you got to know who the temple of Kapvistu is. If you don't know, then that's a problem. Stay, be still, and listen. When he speaks, he is the living oracle of Allah. And all these priests gave thanks and praised the Buddha of the enlightenment. The Buddha of the enlightenment. Moors ain't reading this. I just connect the dots for you. I'm connecting the dots for you. Zoroastrianism or Zoroaster taught that each person had the freedom to choose good or evil in the choices he or she makes. That's the same thing we believe. I keep telling people, no, Noah Ali was a student in Egypt. Other people taught the science. We have to keep it on. But when you diss culture from the East, I know you're not operating on love and science because you're not going in history. So many Negro, black, colors, and some Moors love to diss things that they don't know. And all you got to do is simply research and ask questions before we make ourselves look stupid. Zoroaster taught that each person, which we teach, which all biblical writings teach, you have the freedom to choose good or evil in the choices he or she makes. That's your higher and lower self. I'll show you all the maps and the charts when I show you man made in the image of Elohim by the pattern of the tabernacle. When I show you the ultimate man chart, the circle and the circle. When I show you all the signs and symbols. What are we tripping on? We letting the wrong people teach us. Zoroastrianism was popular in influence of other religions in the 2nd and 3rd century CE. The code of Mithras, that when I talk about the Africans in Asia, when I talk about the Black Sambo, when I talk about Guantanamo Buddha, this was Noble Drew Ali was telling us to study, but we ain't. We're not studying nothing. We arguing. But the mistress, when I tell Moors, you saying Moors saying they some adapt and they don't have this. This is one of my books I wrote. But also we have the literature. The Moors have it. We should have it. I just showed you. I demonstrated that. I demonstrated all this. I just wrote something for it can be easier to explain because most Moors, that so-called grand sheiks or whatever, they're not going to share it with you. And I tell people, none of that stuff is valid if you're not right. But we should give it to our people because the literature is written. So I gathered and compiled and wrote it in an easy reading to add for you can know. Sufism and the triple role of the adapt chamber, featuring the commit and adapt menu and use of our carpenter tools. But you let somebody connotate you because they're not studying. They're connotating you. They dissing everything. But Zoroastrianism was so popular, it influenced a lot of religions. And in the second and 3rd century CE, the code of Mithras. I hope y'all know what Mithras are. Became a popular religion among the Romans, especially Roman soldiers. Why? The same thing like Masonry did. They're taking your science, using it, throwing back in you as spookism, and you're not going deep enough to research the essence. So I ask more, do you have the Zen Avesta, which are some secret writing from the East? Because I do. I have them. I'm a student, man. I study everything. I have a plethora of all wisdom from the East, the West, everything. True historical documents that remove feelings. But the Zen Avesta texts are the particularly foundation of the Zoroastrian faith. This is one of the world's oldest religions and was once the most widespread as well. When I ask more, do you know what the Circle 7 Quran is compiled of? They like, what you mean? I say, see, you got to know what the Circle 7 Quran is compiled of. It's compiled of the Bible. It's compiled of the apocryphal scriptures, which is some of the Aquarian Gospels, and our Rosicrucian manuals, and the title of the essence of Sufism of the Bible. If you don't want to believe that, I'm sad. That's sad. I tell you about Rosicrucian. That's all our science. The religion comes from ancient Persia, but in modern times, many of the estimated, I say 2.6 believers kept it up in so-called India. There is called Parism, and those who practice it are known as Paris or Parasists. Yoga Padai explains Zen Veda. The sacred scriptures are attributed to Zoroaster, sacred scriptures that you should have, who was the founder of the religion. The basis of Zoroastrianism is Humaya, Hukta, and Kuvasta, which translated as good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. What's so spooky about this? Nothing. You just don't understand it. So for that person, whoever said Noble Drew Ali was on some spooky stuff, he would study Zoroastrianism. I just showed you he was an adapt student in Egypt. Come on, man. He should know all that. In terms of yoga Moors, it is believed that the art of pranayama, breath control, come from the Zoroastrian idea known as Dum, D-U-M, which is spiritual breath. The concept explained that everyone has a preset number of breath in our life, and the controlling and making each breath longer extends one life, Moors. Avesta, also called Zen Avesta, sacred books of Zoroastrianism, containing the cosmogony, law, literary, and teachings of the prophet Zoroaster. The extent of Vista is all the remains of a much larger body of scripture. I'm telling you, man. Major religions like Christianity, Islam, have been popular since ancient times. But what religion was popular before these belief system developed? And they'd be like, what you mean? What you mean? I'm going to show you. What was the major influence before these religions were developed? What were they? What were they? The lesson explores the belief of Zoroastrianism or Zoroastrians, one of the earliest forms of organized religion. When I tell people I have degrees in all levels, in the universities and in the temples, I come from peace. And if you not come from ancient, it's all you. But the one of the earliest forms of organized religion was Zoroastrians or Zoroastrianism. Period. In ancient times, the modern country of Iran was known as Persia. I told you the Persian Empire stretched all over from the Aegean Sea. You'll see, you got to write that down. Write that down, please. Zoroaster taught that each person had the freedom to choose good or evil in the choices he or she makes. For example, Moors, choosing to tell the truth rather than to tell a lie indicates a person has chosen good over evil. Just like when a person try to give you a false case, when they try to talk about fraudulent concealment. But your brother can fraudulently conceal stuff from you when they have the wisdom and they won't share it with you. I mean, I'm telling you it is. Period. Zoroastrianism taught that each person had the freedom to choose good or evil in the choices he or she makes. For example, choosing to tell the truth rather than to tell a lie indicates a person has chosen good over evil. So are you going to practice fraudulent concealment over your own brother? The prophet also taught that there was an eternal afterlife, and the choices made by each person determine his or her destiny in the afterlife. If a person's good choices and deeds outweigh the bad, he or she will go to so-called heaven per se. We talk about heaven in the mind. If a person made more bad decisions or did evil deeds, that person will go to one of the several places or levels of hell, depending on his or her degree of evilness or understanding. Also, with this religion, Zoroaster taught the existence of angels, demons, and saviors. Same thing that the Moorish science teach. I keep telling Moorish, Noble Drew Ali was a student. I'm telling you. In Egypt, I got the documents and the paperwork. It was other prophets before him that taught it. Abdullah Salman Ali, when he came from Egypt to New York, it's there, it's documented. Ideas that can also be found in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Zoroastrianism uses the Avesta. If you don't have the Avesta, I have them. Just like I have the Bhagavad Gita. Just like I have the Upshaws. All this you must know. Just like I have the Tibetan Book of the Dead. If you say that he traveled the 18 missing years of his life, where he went, the Keeper Nagas. All this from Haile Selassie, but we dissing stuff because we're not scientists, man. We get caught up in feeling, and I don't deal with that. Zoroastrianism was popular in the influence of a lot of other religions. In the 2nd and 3rd century CE, the cult of Mithras became a popular religion among Romans, especially Roman soldiers, the same way Moorish masonry did. When the Europeans traveled to Egypt, I gave you the names of the Europeans when they went to Egypt. And they learned of those rites. Egyptians didn't teach no one outside themselves the mystery science, and they didn't write nothing. It was all in hieroglyphs, something that you couldn't destroy. You don't believe me? It's all good. I demonstrate the documents where the European went to Egypt. He told you from his pen, he didn't come up with the 99th primitive rite. He got that from Egypt. Period. Zen Avesta texts are the principal foundation of the Zoroastrian faith. This is one of the world's oldest religions, and was once among the most widespread as well, Moors. The religion comes from ancient Persia. I hope you know geography and where Persia is. Just like how Alexander the Greek went there and destroyed everything. How I told you yoga is off the Zoroaster, who founded the religion. It's based off Humayya. It's the Dun. In terms of yoga, it's believed that the art of Pranayama, I gave you that, breathing control. I gave you all that. The Avesta is in 5 parts. Its religious core is a collection of songs, hymns. The goddess, thought to be in the main, the very words of Zoroaster, form a middle section of the chief literature or the literature, part of the canon, the yasna, which contains the rite of the preparation and sacrifices of Homa. If you are more and you understand the secret brotherhood of the East, and you say you some adapt and some prophet and angel, this is the same stuff. The Visprat is a lesser lyrical scripture containing homages to a number of Zoroastrian spiritualists. The Vendita or the Vidvat is the main source of the Zoroastrian law, both ritual and civil. It also gives an account of creation and the first man, Yima. The Yasta are 21 hymns, rich in myth, the various Yastas, angels, and ancient heroes. And I can go on, man. I can go on. Just like the world's 16 crucified saviors, all over, you got to understand this. You're not getting in landmass. It was commonly, it was claimed by disciples of Jesus Christ that he was of supernatural and divine origins. Okay. That although he was woman conceived. Okay. When I talk about immaculate conception is man and woman producing a child. All that. He was a deity begotten and molded into human form, but comprehending in essence a full measure of the infinite Godhead. Blah blah blah. I can go on and on. But what I'm trying to give you is that through the contrary, Moors, more than 20 claims of this kind, claims of being invested with divine power, honor, defied, have come forward and presented themselves at the bar of the world with their credentials to contest the verdict of Christendom and having proclaimed Jesus Christ, the only Son and sent of God. More, if it's 20 Messiahs, Saviors, and Sons of God, according to history or tradition, having the past times descended from heaven and taken up themselves the form of men, clothing themselves with human flesh and furnishing inconsistible evidence of a divine origin by various miracles, marvelous works, and superlative virtues. And finally, these more than 20 Jesus Christ, accepting their character of the name, laid the foundation for the salvation of the world. I can give them all to you. Adad of Assyria, Adonis, son of the Virgin of Greece, Alcides of Thebes, of Apis, of Pagria, Baal, and Tut, the only begotten son, or the only begotten of the god of the Phoenicia, Bali of Afghanistan, Bedaru of Japan, Buddha Saki of India, Cadmus of Greece, Crete of Chaldea, Devatat, and Samono-Kadam of Siam, divine teacher of Plato, Foy and Teen of China, Gintuan and Kuala Coat of Mexico, Jesus of Eros and Brola of the Druids, Hil and Theta of the Mannadites, Ishi of the island of Formos, Axon and Quirinus of Rome, Holy One of Akka, Indra of Tibet, Joa of Nepal, Krishna of the Hindus, Makadu of the Sintus, Muhammad or Mahomet of Arabia, Odin of the Scandinavians, Prometheus of the Caucasus, Salvania of Bermuda, Tammuz of Syri, Thor son of Odin of the Gauls, universal monarch of the Sibyls, Withoba of the Bilingonese, Axomelius of Thrace, Zoar of the Bones, Zoroaster, what I'm just giving you, and Mithra of Persia, Zulius or Zul, also Osiris and Horus of Egypt. Both were incarnated and born of a woman. The mother in each case was a holy virgin. The father of each was a carpenter. Both were of royal descent. Each had the title of a savior. Both were without sin. Both were crucified. Both crucified between two thieves. Each taught of a great and final day of judgment. I mean, I'm going on and on, Morris, with the wisdom. So before we get caught up in spookism research, Zoroastrianism is something we should be studying. Study all the wisdom from the East. I love you all. Peace, light, and illumination.